Yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. Think you should feed.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Late Night Nerd Show. I am your host, the Brewing Sailor, Brendan Smith. With me, as always, is my co-host, the squad leader, Kendall Scott Cooper. How are you tonight, buddy?
I'm doing all right. I know, gang. I took my beard off, but I forgot what my face looked like, and everybody needs to know what a wheat chin Geralt of Rivia would look like. So here you go, right there. Drink it in, bitches.
Anyway, so I know a lot's going on since last we've talked. We've got a lot of stuff going on. And it's just been a crazy week with everything going on, actually, in the pop culture world and in the movie world. And it's amazing times that we live in. There's an old Chinese curse that say, "May you live in interesting times."
Yep.
I could go for a big dose of boring, honestly.
Yeah, no, you're telling me. Nice long vacation.
So why don't we start off with this article that you found about Scarlett Johansson's lawsuits and what it could mean for the rest of the industry. So why don't you dive into this? I'll let you start off there.
It's a really, really great article. I forget who writes it, but it's a Yahoo Entertainment item that
it's Tyler Aquilina.
Tyler Aquilina.
I'm sure I butchered his last name, so I apologize, Tyler.
Or hers or theirs or whatever they choose to identify as. We're cool here at that late night show.
Yeah, as whatever the kids are, whatever nomenclature the kids are using these days. Hello, children. I'll take 2 drugs, please.
Well, the article discusses how pretty much the gist of the lawsuit, which is Miss Johansson got screwed by Disney, and it also talks about how this could potentially lead the industry to going towards a more, how would you put it, kind of old house sort of way of working, where actors would essentially be signed to a single company. And so everything that they would do would just be with that single company. And, the article...
Okay, so yeah, like back in the day, like... Sophia Loren might have been signed to MGM Grand, and she would only do movies for MGM Grand.
MGM Grand, exactly, yes.
Or MGM, I should say, not just MGM Grand, but MGM. But okay, all right, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And so, and then they talked in the article about how there is going to be a 3-series Exorcist film that they've already laid down $400 million for. And this is like 3 films, and they haven't even been made yet, and they're treating these films, even as the article says, as it's already been made. And this is being done in conjunction with a studio and a streaming service. So it really does kind of make you think where things are going to go. So I mean, and as you and I can discuss, say from our times, remember when before streaming you had like mom and pop video rentals and everything else like that, but the real hard contenders were Blockbuster, any other like local state chain or anything that was
like regional chains. Like I'm in New England, I remember growing up we had Major Video, which I'm pretty sure was just a mob front, but hey. But then again, so is most of Hollywood, or at least it was until the Chinese bought them all out. But yeah, so, and that's not me being anti-China, folks. That's just stating the obvious. I mean, the fact is China owns most of the entertainment industry. There's a reason why Richard Gere hasn't had a job in like 10 years. So, well, that, and he is very outspoken towards certain issues within the Chinese regime.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah, he's made himself an enemy of the Grand Pooh Bear over in China.
Oh, how delightful.
So, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think movies going straight to streaming is probably here to stay, at least in some form. I don't think we've seen the last of the movie theater experience just yet. But I do think that you're going to see more and more. I think probably the Disney model is probably going to be the one that takes on, because right now HBO, I think Warner Brothers is shooting themselves in the foot. Like they're going to release Dune in the theaters and on HBO Max for free. It's just like, why are you giving it away? Like, are you just hoping that you're going to get a whole bunch of, new subs? Okay, you might get like a couple, and they might like sub for 1 month and then unsub again, just to get the movie. But then you got like $10 out of them. Okay, you got the same, but you got $10 for one household. Disney's raking in $30 per household. Now, I'm not paying $30 per household, because
No.
if I want to go see a movie, it's either going to be just me or just me and my wife, and we can go to a matinee and pay like $16.
Yeah,
So, I'm not paying $30 to watch it in Disney Plus, but a lot of people are, because I could see the attraction. You got a family of 4, you don't want to pay $50 just for tickets for a Friday night. And then, popcorn and sodas and hot dogs for the family is going to run you another $50-$60. And then God forbid you want to have a beer, they're going to whack you $12 for that.
Oh yeah. Or and it gets even more exorbitant if you essentially have like children that live at home that are essentially over the age of 16, because they're going too, and they're now being charged adult price.
As an adult price, yeah. So, it just, I can definitely see the attraction for a full family and why you'd want to do it on Disney Plus. So I think that is probably going to be the roadmap going forward. I think you'll see a lot of people start to copy Disney Plus in one way or another, because I don't think it's financially feasible to do what Warner Brothers is doing, and just, because they had to cut Lionsgate a $200 million check for, what was it, for Mortal Kombat, and there was another film, I forget which one released on Warner Brothers on HBO Max.
I'm lousy with that stuff.
Not important at the moment, but the point is, because they're not, the whole crux of the whole Disney situation with Scarlett Johansson is they offered to, extend her cut of the back end to the Disney Plus subscriptions. There's probably no lawsuit, but there is no back end of the subscriptions on HBO Max, because they're being done for free. So, Lionsgate was like, well, you got to give us something for our trouble here. So Warner Brothers ended up giving them $200 million, which is a hell of a precedent. By the way, this is not the first time Disney has been sued. There are voiceover artists and over this similar type of stuff. There was a voiceover artist over the cartoons in the 70s, some of the cartoons that came out in the 70s. I forget which one it was. Hat tip to the guys over at World Class Bullshitters on YouTube. They were the one, I was listening to them today, and they were talking about this. And one of the voice actresses, she had a deal that, her, she was supposed to get X amount of money and then residuals every time the movie sold, either in theaters or on cassette or whatever. Well, then they re-released it many years later, and they made like $90 million off of it. And Disney tried to just hope she wouldn't notice, I guess, and didn't pay her. And she took them to court, and she was awarded $2.83 million. So good for her. That's a good day's work, if you ask me. Just recently, when Disney acquired Lucasfilm, they tried to not pay the residuals to the authors of the EU books, including one Alan Dean Foster, who wrote the very first expanded universe novel, Splinter of the Mind's Eye. And then
such a good book.
Oh, it's a great book. And he also wrote a few others throughout the years that I've really enjoyed. And he's wrote many books I've really enjoyed.
I gotta get back into his stuff. He's a really underrated writer.
He's done a lot of like big novelizations too. I think he did the Force Awakens novelization. He did Aliens novelization. Like, he's done a lot of big novelizations of movies.
He's got a mind for it.
Really, but they were trying to not pay him his royalties, because they were like, well, that was under Lucasfilm. And they're like, yeah, well, you bought Lucasfilm, so you've acquired their obligations as well as their assets. And it took a big, and meanwhile, Mr. Foster is dealing with some health problems, and his wife is dealing with cancer, and they're trying to withhold royalties from him. You're a $122 billion company. Write the fucking check.
Yeah, it's really not hard. It's a drop in a bucket for you guys. I mean, fuck, you make that much money back in, I don't know, 35 seconds to open up your fucking doors on a weekend.
Yeah, pretty much.
So,
Especially if it's like spring break or something, you know?
yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, that's the company. And this is why I'm so shocked by the fan response, because the fan response has been pretty divided from what I've seen online. There's a lot of people defending Disney, and I'm like, why? This company is a shitty company. Like, granted, they have all
Nostalgia.
right. Put your nostalgia aside, and I know where you're going with that because you're exactly right. People give them the benefit of the doubt because all of this nostalgia, but it's misplaced.
Hmm.
Disney's just a corporation. Your
Yes, they always
nostalgia,
have been. They
yeah,
always have been.
exactly. Your nostalgia should be reserved for the content creators that actually made the content, not for the corporation that paid for it.
Yep.
Okay. And, you know, I was telling my wife today, you know, the myth about lemmings running off of a cliff?
Hmm.
You know why that myth came about? Because it's not true. Lemmings don't blindly run off of a cliff.
I actually do not know this.
Disney filmed a movie in the 50s where they filmed lemmings running off of a cliff, except they weren't running off of a cliff. They showed clips of them running, and then they threw a shit ton of them off of a cliff and filmed it. It made it look like they were running off of a cliff. They killed a shit ton of lemmings.
Wow. Awful.
And by the way, this is when Uncle Walt was still alive and very much in charge. And
Well,
apparently, and I can't apparently like people in the government in Canada like had to step in and be like, this doesn't happen. Like they don't do this is a fake news. But the myth has persisted to this day, all because Disney filled a cartoon. So that video game, I'm sure Disney was like, so do we make the copyright claim because we came up with that idea, or do we keep our mouth shut so people don't know we tossed a bunch of animals over a cliff?
hmm.
That's a conversation that happens in the boardroom from Dr. Strangelove.
Yeah, no, no, and this is also why I also kind of give a side eye to Tom Hanks. If he ever sees this, I'm sorry, you can sue me later, but come on, man, you played this guy. What the fuck?
All you need to know about Tom Hanks is his reaction when Ricky Gervais made the joke about Jeffrey Epstein. Look it up. It's hilarious. When Jeffrey Ep-
Oh, okay, I'll have to look
when
it
he
up.
was when he was hosting I forget it was the Golden Globes, I think,
Mm,
and he made this joke about Jeffrey Epstein. It's like because he was talking about his show where the guy's contemplating suicide because his wife's died and he doesn't know what he goes. And at the end, there's a season 2, so spoiler alert, he doesn't kill himself, just like Jeffrey Epstein did. And the whole crowd was, and he's like, "Fuck you! I don't care. He was your friend." And they were all like, they cut to Tom Hanks and he's like all pissed off. They cut to Adam Driver, who of course is the one service member in the audience, Marine veteran, and he's
mm,
laughing his ass off. And I'm like,
yeah, that's the appropriate reaction.
exactly. So
If you're
it's
getting
like,
angry, you have something to hide.
yeah, exactly. So I'm not saying there's a reason that Tom Hanks married a Greek woman and moved to and got Greek passport, but it is a non-extradition country. I'm just saying.
This is true. This is very true.
I'm not saying, but I'm kind of saying.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think I don't know if I see actors signing on to one studio forever, maybe for a specific amount of projects. Like like I could see Netflix getting Zack Snyder, say, for like a 4-movie deal, and he can do nothing
Oh,
but those 4 movies.
yeah.
I just don't know if I see it going back to an old house style.
I don't know. I mean,
Because I think actors enjoy, especially now in the wake of, especially female actors in wake of the Harvey Weinstein scandal and the whole Me
oh,
Too
they
movement.
love the, yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I think actors enjoy their freedom way too much,
yeah.
and I think, look, to a certain extent, yes, movie production companies can make stars, but at the same time, it's going to be a lot harder for them to make money if they don't use the already established stars.
Hmm.
Faces bring. Tom Hanks puts butts in seats. Ryan Reynolds puts butts in seats. Scarlett Johansson puts butts in seats.
Butts in seats, yeah.
So yeah, I just don't know if I see that happening, but I do see a definite shift in the movie landscape.
Oh no, I completely agree.
So I mean, and that can actually lead us right into topics 2 and 3 for the evening. What do you want to tackle first? You want to tackle James Bond, or we want to tackle Suicide Squad?
Let's go with fun topic of conversation. Let's go with Suicide Squad first.
Okay. Did you get a chance to watch it yet?
I have not gotten a chance to watch it, but
Okay.
I did look it up a little bit, like I did with What If. So.
Okay, so it is not perfect, but very good, very enjoyable. The one thing I didn't like, and like, the movie's called The Suicide Squad. Of course, a bunch of them are going to die, right?
Yeah,
especially given the R rating.
Yeah.
And I was fine watching Pete Davidson get his face blown off. Didn't hate that part.
Who doesn't?
Didn't hate that part, but
do we want to watch it in slow mo like the cat in Boondocks? Just the
yeah, maybe not so much. I can't believe that just fucking happened. I remember watching the first time I watched that movie. He goes the next morning. He's like, bury the cat. And I'm thinking, like, with what? A sponge?
little litter scoop.
Yeah,
I got him.
Anyway, but just Nathan Fillion's in the movie for 45 seconds, and he plays the dumbest character. I'm not even gonna ruin it for you, but I was just like, how do you get Nathan Fillion and use him for 45 seconds? I don't even think he said a word the whole time. If he did, I completely missed it.
You just stood there. Hi, I'm Nathan Fillion. I'm just gonna fucking stand here.
Yeah.
We gotta pay him like he doesn't talk.
David, and I'm going to destroy his name. Dalmatian or Dalmachian, maybe. If I can find it in here.
I'm gonna be polite and not even try.
I'm gonna look it up on. Okay, my entire internet just like my Chrome just went wonky. Oh, excuse me here while I look this up. See, this is where we need a guest, because while I'm looking this up, you guys could be talking amongst yourselves.
Yeah. Discuss third world country.
The Roman Empire. It was neither Roman nor an empire. Discuss.
Holy Roman nor an empire.
Yeah. Let's see. Why is he so low on the list? He was like in the movie more than any of these guys.
I don't know. Maybe he just doesn't get title credit.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Well, the way IMDb is doing this is weird, because he was actually like the third or fourth person.
A bunch of Nazis.
Well, be careful. Don't say that. We'll actually get banned from YouTube. I'll have to edit that out later. I'm not kidding.
Really? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
You can't drop the N word on certain, and I guess we've got multiple N words now.
Okay.
David Dastmalchian, Dastmalchian. He plays Polka Dot Man, and he was Now I appreciated James Gunn, because James Gunn came out and said, I picked Polka Dot Man because he was the dumbest character in DC, and I wanted to see if I could turn it into an interesting character. And two things about that. Number one, he succeeded, mainly I think due to the efforts of the actor. And two, I appreciate his honesty, because if he had come out and tried to sell me on a line of BS, like saying, oh no, I've always really enjoyed the character, thought it was misunderstood and underappreciated, I'd be like, don't get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, no,
it's Polka Dot Man. Come on.
Yeah, it's like what?
So the movie, Idris Elba is great, but Idris Elba is always great. I mean, I mean, if you're gonna, by the way, if you're gonna make James Bond a black man, Idris Elba is the number one guy.
That's the man to do it. That's exactly the man to
now,
do it. Yeah.
If you were going to do that 20 years ago, I would have said the guy that actually played Bond's like kind of confidant at MI6 during GoldenEye, the Pierce Brosnan years. I forget the actor's name. He was also in the Arrowverse. He played Ollie's stepfather, but now he's a bit on in years. You know, obviously, he's not playing. He's
I know you're
probably in his
talking about now.
60s. He's probably in his
Yeah.
60s now. So that actor obviously is not playing Bond.
No.
Because at this point he'd basically be a Black Roger Moore. But
Yeah.
which could be interesting in its own way, but perhaps not in Bond.
Or maybe if they did some kind of weird time shift Bond like Sean Connery did.
Yeah.
Because he did that whole movie where like he got married, but he was being brought back, and there was a lot of him swimming for some reason. I don't understand why that was there, but it was there.
Yeah, especially because he had a toupee by that point.
She had hold Sean.
The
water won't make it come off.
It's water resistant. So,
I took all the hair off my ash and pack and put it on top of my hat.
Wow, we just took a detour. Anyway, so getting back to the Suicide Squad, I don't even know where we were at the time, but okay. Idris Elba. So Idris Elba was great. I gotta give props. My favorite character of the whole movie was Ratcatcher, and the actress who did it. If I still have this up, I do. Yay! The actress who played her. Again, they've got her way down at the bottom, and she was like one of Daniela Melchior. She was fantastic, and she's from Portugal. So she hasn't been in a ton of stuff that we would know, but she was absolutely fantastic. She did a wonderful job. She's actually looks like she's just done a bunch of European TV until the Suicide Squad. So kudos to her agent.
Good pull.
Because that was to get her into from that to that. That's pretty outstanding. She was beautiful. She's charming, and she turned controlling rats into a pretty badass superpower.
Unlike Willard, sorry, Crispin Glover, it was cool, but not that cool.
Yeah, well, they're on a third world island nation. There be rats.
Yeah, there's a lot of rats.
Exactly. It turned into a way more useful superpower than I thought. Imagine what she could do in a place like New York City. Anyway.
Ooh, God.
So yeah, pretty crazy.
That dog? No, that's a rat.
That's actually a Great Dane made of 3,000 rats. So yeah, but she was charming. She was lovely. She did a fantastic job. All in all, it was a really good movie. I could nitpick it if I wanted to, but I'd say it's a 7 or an 8. And pretty much the rest of the internet agrees with me. It has a 91 on Rotten Tomatoes and an 84 audience score. So across the board, critics and fans agree this is a good movie. Just why it's such a shame it bombed.
Yeah.
I mean, when Fast and Furious in space can make $500 million. First of all, like, what the hell is that series anymore anyway? Like, it has nothing to do with racing cars and stealing shit anymore. Like, apparently family, even though it's not even a real family, none of them are blood related, but apparently family is the strongest force in the universe. Sorry, George Lucas. My favorite, like after that movie came out, all those damn memes. Oh my God, those memes all over my Facebook feed. The best one was the one that showed Vin Diesel shot dead in freaking in Saving Private Ryan, and it says apparently a sniper is stronger than family.
There you go. Yeah.
I was like, God damn.
Take this letter to my father. You gotta promise me fish. Just don't move. No, keep moving, please. God, keep moving.
Yeah. So there was that. But yeah, like I said, really good movie. So sad that it didn't. And yeah, I think it's just an effect of the times we're in. Between the fact, it did get a lot of streams, so a lot of people weren't seeing it in theaters. I think something like 3 million people watched it streaming, or 3 million households, which could mean 10 million, 15 million people watched it streaming. Because Lord knows people share accounts, and then you've got 3-4 people at home in many families, maybe sometimes more, sometimes less, but 3-4 is about the American average. So you've got you missed out on let's say 10 to 15 million in ticket sales. And that's not dollar amounts, that's actual individual tickets.
Yeah.
So, they lost a lot of money on that. And, they only made like 26 million in the theaters. And that's a shame, because how often do we get a movie in the last couple of years where both the critics and the audience are like, pretty good.
Yeah, no, it's a good
Pretty
film.
good.
I mean, that doesn't happen often. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people be like, "Oh no, it happens more you think." No, it really doesn't. It does not.
No, because usually either the fans love it and the critics hate it, or the critics love it and the fans hate it. It's very rare where that kind of crosses over and everybody says, "Yeah,
no, this is a really good fucking film." Yeah, no.
So
I mean, God, I can't even remember the last time.
Yeah, I'd have to go
top
search
of my head. I'd have to look it up. And
I'm honestly, we are not investigative journalists here. We're two middle-aged white guys spouting off about pop culture. I'm not that fucking thorough. So yeah, so it was a real shame. I think that movie deserved better. I think the actors and everybody involved deserved better, and I hope all the crew and the actors get paid, because it was a pretty good flick.
Because of course, like you said, half the cast, if not more, dies, but even that, it's still a good cast.
And the only if I had to nitpick one thing, it was the subplot in the second act, where Harley Quinn is being seduced by the president dictator of this island nation. And it's like 10 to 15 minutes where she's separated from the other. And it basically is a 10 to 15 minute setup for two jokes. The president is laying out his master plan, and she kills him right in the middle of it. Just shoots him. She was like, wow, I didn't even think there'd be a bullet in that gun. Because it was like an old timey revolver. And then, you see the scene from the trailer where she's outside and, Bloodsport's scaling the wall, and Colonel Flagg, played by Joel Kinnaman, is sitting there, and he's like, okay, everybody check in. And she's like, hey guys, what you doing? He goes, we're here to save you. She says, you're going to save me? And he goes, well, we were, but too bad. It was a really good plan too. And she goes, well, I could go back inside and you can do it anyway. And Bloodsport's just like, well, that's patronizing. So it was a 10 to 15 minute setup for two jokes. Like, I don't need 10 to 15 minutes for a punchline, like 2 to 3 times. That and like the writers, like every time Harley wanted to tell a joke, like they told it 2 or 3 times. I got it. You don't have to, like, she can let it go. She delivered the punchline. I don't need to hear the punchline a second, third, fourth time. So those are my only 2 nitpicks. And both times it's got nothing to do with Margot Robbie. She does a fine job as Harley Quinn. It's just the director, the writers, and maybe the editors, maybe how all that was edited together. They were really hammering that punchline, and it was like, all right, got it the first time, fellas. You don't have to keep going with that.
Yeah, and a lot of the fan criticisms are exactly that, was just the kind of inconsistency moments of like personality moments and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that would happen with characters.
I think the biggest thing to say is it just suffered from pacing issues in the second act. The first act was pretty good. The third act was excellent. The second act was kind of a mixed bag. And how many times do you get to hear somebody in a CIA operations center go, we gotta fucking guide you up in this bitch? So yeah. So and it, like, they did pick the perfect DC villain too for this movie, because this movie is absurd on its head. The characters are absurd, the premise is absurd, and not in a bad way, delightfully so. Like, it embraces its absurdity.
Well,
so what's its main villain? Starro the Conqueror, a giant space starfish that shoots out tiny little starfish, which go like alien sucker face on you and make you part of its hive mind.
Well, you know what? At least it wasn't Space Vikings.
It's just like, or John Travolta and that really weird headdress thing from Battlestar Galactica. Not Battlestar Galactica, but what was it?
Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth. Sorry. I'm sorry. Anytime, anything L. Ron Hubbard enters near my orbit, my brain gets fried out of his stupidity. Actually, I can't say that because he is a genius, because he got so many people to believe that shit and got so super rich off of it.
No.
He's a jackass, but
he's reaping all the benefits.
It's like he's the Grand Wizard. I'm sorry, wrong organization. Kind of similar premise though.
Hey, well, I mean, they have the Cools logo. In the fucking Cools logo for the cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
They have it done in like a hedgerow, or like it's some kind of like big mosaic or something that's somewhere that you can see it from the sky. And the reason why they have that is because L. Ron Hubbard smoked Cools, and when his spirit comes back, to bring everyone back, they want to make sure he knows that's the place he needs to go because of the cool cigarette logo.
Yeah.
The Infinity
he founded the place. I'm pretty sure. I think his spirit probably knows where it is.
Where to fucking go?
And I'm sure there are some people like that absolutely 100% believe that. That like, all right, I could talk about Scientology all night and how stupid it is, but let's move on.
I was about to say, you and I both, man. You and I both. That's why I love that documentary.
Oh yeah, Leah Remini. Oof, that's some stuff.
Oh, God,
he's a tough lady.
Her in so many ways. She is.
Most of them you can't mention in public.
Yep.
So anyway, so let's move on. So another crazy story from the box office. This dropped today. And I saw it on a website called The Express, but they picked it up from Bond website MI6HQ. And apparently the cost of Bond has inflated to $464 million US as of right now. And they've been advertising in the run up to release next month. Well, next month in the UK, October and early October in the US, which means that price is going to go up. Now, because of the Delta variant, they're talking about delaying it for a third time or fourth time at this rate. I'm not even sure which.
I think it might be the fourth.
Right. And I'm thinking to myself, how much is it going to be next spring when it maybe releases?
$60 a fucking ticket.
Yeah, because they're talking about how they have to make double that in order to make money because the theater company gets half the ticket sales. So they're going to have to make over $1 billion just to break even.
No way.
And there's no way. This movie's a flop before it's going to lose money as soon as it releases. And there's no way it's going to do it, because even in the best of times, the best and highest grossing, I don't know if it's the best Bond of all time, but certainly the best of the Daniel Craig era and the highest grossing Bond of all time was Skyfall. And I think we pretty much all agree that Skyfall was by far the best of the Daniel Craig movies.
Oh, yeah, no.
I mean, Casino Royale was good. Quantum of Solace was terrible. Spectre was
awful.
Spectre was
Skyfall was actually the only one that really made sense.
Yeah, and
the rest also were all over the place.
And also had, Casino Royale was pretty contained. Quantum of Solace was just bonkers crazy and made no sense. I think they tried to turn, what I think really happened with Quantum of Solace is they tried to turn James Bond into a Quentin Tarantino movie and then screwed it up. Like they tried to turn it into Pulp Fiction, where it kind of starts in the middle, goes to the end, and finishes at the beginning.
Yeah.
And they didn't know how to finish the story. And it just ends. And you're like, I got up out of the theater going, huh? Like, not in a good way. Like, when I got out of 7, that blew my freaking mind. I was like, holy shit, dude killed his wife. Like, that blew my mind. I was like, huh? Because my mind was blown. My mind was lobotomized.
Yeah. No.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, this is terrible. So by far, Skyfall was the best movie, and God bless Javier Bardem. He's probably the best movie villain for a single shot that I've seen since Silence of the Lambs.
No, I would say that's accurate. It's just that stare.
Yeah, well, that and his
the down the nose stare.
There's that, and the whole thing with his mouth, and the false dentures, and then how the flirtations he has with Bond, and how kind of creepy that is, and like everything it was powerful and subtle. He wasn't a bombastic villain. Because he didn't have to boast. He knew he was in charge. He knew he was in command. And so he didn't have to be bombastic. He didn't have to be braggadocious.
There's the subtleties.
Well, it's, a lion doesn't have to tell you it's a lion. It just eats you.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that. It's just here. It just does.
When you feel its jaws close around your neck, you're like, that's a lion, and I'm dead. But that movie made $1 billion. It's the only Bond movie to do so. So there's no way. And that was in the best of times for movie theaters. That was in the middle of the Marvel run, where movies were making $1 billion left and right.
Yeah.
So there's no way in hell that in this climate, a Bond movie's making $1 billion, especially when you take into account that all the rumors circulating about how they're going to emasculate Bond and how he's going to be second fiddle in his own movie. And, I don't know if any of those are true, and I hope they're not. And I hope they're all completely wrong, and Bond is the badass we all know and love him to be. But if that's true, on top of this money mountain they've got to climb, they're FUCT fucked.
Oh yeah, no. And that's the thing, because if that's the case, you'll have one batch of people watch it, instantly say it's fucking dog shit, and then anybody else who wants to see it after that, they won't even bother with streaming service. They'll just pirate it. Pirate it.
Yeah, word of mouth will kill it. I mean, look what happened to Black Widow in week 2. What was the other recent release that got crushed in week 2? I can't believe I can't think of this.
So, Lauren, do you come around often whenever the show has sandwiches, or is it really, do you like the little tacos? You said co-host. I'm just practicing. It's okay. Don't mind.
Let's see. Okay, that's January. Oh, it's showing me January. Let's see. What month are we in? August? Yeah.
I think so. Yes. I could look at my calendar like a human being, and so yes, we are in fact in August. 12 August.
So Jungle Cruise had a big drop off in week 2. G.I. Joe Snake Eyes didn't have much of a launch to begin with, but they had a big drop off.
That's the Dwayne Johnson film, isn't it?
Right, because apparently Disney, after the success of Pirates of the Caribbean, Disney's decided we're going to make every ride we have a movie. So they've got like a Tower of Terror movie in development too, and it's like, really, guys? Come on. There's not exactly like. You had with Pirates of the Caribbean, at least you had pirates to work with, and then you threw in the whole zombie thing, and that was kind of cool, and magic, and it's a Jungle Cruise.
Yeah.
Well, I already saw Anaconda.
and the 4 preceding bastard versions of its sequels after that.
Yeah.
But didn't they already do another ride film before that with like Eddie Murphy, like the Haunted Mansion or something like that?
Yes, they did do a Haunted Mansion. You're right, and it bombed, if I recall. It was
awful. Yeah.
Because it was also in Eddie's I'm only going to do children's comedies movies phase, because his kids were like in junior high through high school, and he didn't want to be swearing on screen because of his kids.
That's funny.
And I'm just like, hey, Eddie, they heard far worse in school. Can you go back to being funny, Eddie, please?
Yeah.
Like, I need me some Beverly Hills Cop and Beverly Hills Cop 2,
I
Eddie.
know. Serge, you silly motherfucker.
It's Serge.
Serge.
Aquel. It's an Axel. God love Bronson Pinchot. Would you like a espresso with twisted lemon? It's very nice. Make it myself.
She left it there for you.
This is Mr. Aquel Foley. Oh, dude, he was hilarious. He was only in the movie for like 10 seconds. He's one of the most memorable parts of it.
With the machine gun that had the little microwave oven in it, so you could.
Oh, that's Beverly Hills Cop 3. Yeah, that's because the character is actually from the first one.
Yeah.
So I was just watching the first one the other day. I actually just went back and watched both 1 and 2 the other day. So it was a lot of fun. So.
Oh, they're great films. All
right. So long story short, we've gone off on a huge tangent here, but we're going to tend to do that on the Late Night Nerd Show because we like movies, we like pop culture, we like to drink, and if we're having fun, we're just going to go with it. So hopefully you'll come along on the ride with us. But summation on Suicide Squad, good movie, deserved better at the box office. Times suck. We hope it can kind of crawl out of it and make some money. So.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe it becomes one of those things that even though it didn't make any money for the studios and stuff, it becomes a huge
cult classic,
a huge cult classic, or a large door opener for a lot of the other actors that we're not familiar with, especially the actress from Portugal and some of the other actors that are they're there. They've done more TV than they have television, more than film, and so.
She definitely deserves more. She really, she when you watch it, she steals every scene she's in. She really does. She does a fantastic job. So got to check out Marvel's What If, switching gears, the first episode.
Yeah. No, that was.
And when I saw the trailer and you see they're gonna do Captain Carter, I'm like, all right, how are they gonna shit on Steve Rogers? Because there's this trend in Hollywood right now to where you cannot write a strong female character without shitting on the male counterpart. It's like you can't just have a strong female next to a strong male. You've got to make the male look weak. And it's rather annoying. And it's, first of all, it does a disservice to feminism because no, you can have a strong feminine woman stand toe to toe with a man, match wits. I can tell you right now, Gina Carano beat my ass. There's a lot of women in the UFC that beat my ass. Rose Namajunas, the current, I think, flyweight champion, she's like 110 pounds. If she kicked me in the jaw, I'm going to sleep.
Oh, dude. No, like the women's Muay Thai champion, now, if she kicks you in the jaw, you won't have a fucking head. I mean, it's just gonna come off.
So you can be a strong and Rose Namajunas is a gorgeous young woman. It kind of throws people off because she shaves her hair because it's just beneficial for a fighter, but she is a very attractive young woman who can also knock your head off. So I was very apprehensive going into this episode, and I want to commend the writers because obviously something had to happen to where Steve doesn't get the serum, right? To change it. And if they were going to do a very subtle change, they could have done a much bigger change where Steve was never there. And then that's why Haley, but it wouldn't have made as much sense. This kept it grounded in what we already know. And if you look at it through the prism of 1943, Allied powers, they never would have willingly given it to Peggy Carter because she was a woman. No, and that just wouldn't have happened in 1943.
No, it wouldn't have. Absolutely not.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it or you don't want to know what happens, I'm going to keep talking about it in 10 seconds. So you got 10 seconds to turn it off and just fast forward to where there's no more. We're not talking about it anymore. But what happens is, like in Captain America, the First Avenger, there's somebody there who kills the scientist who's trying to blow up the experiment and steal the serum. Except in this, instead of going to wait in the booth, Peggy Carter stays in the room and she sees the guy and she goes to stop him, doesn't stop him. Steve jumps out of the chamber, goes to stop him. The guy shoots Steve in the gut. This is where I thought, oh, they're just going to kill off Steve Rogers and it's just going to be her for the rest of the episode. And I'm like, oh. But they didn't. To their credit, they did not kill off Steve. And she jumps in the chair because Howard Stark won't, and there's nobody else. So she gets the super serum. And while she's training, Steve is learning to walk again from his injury. And she goes out and she stops the Nazis from acquiring the Tesseract, or she steals it from them. And then Howard Stark uses the Tesseract to power an early version of the Iron Man suit. And then Steve gets to pilot the Iron Man suit. So now you have two people who genuinely care for each other for the right reasons, because they both liked each other before they had something super to give.
Yeah.
Right? When they were just both normal people.
Yeah.
And now they both have this wonderful gift, the suit or the superpowers, and they're fighting together side by side as equals. And I won't spoil the rest of the episode for our viewers, but I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that they didn't have to shit on Steve Rogers to make Captain Carter a badass hero. And she was. No. She kicks a shit ton of ass, by the way.
Oh, yeah. And from what I picked up on it, too, I mean, the way that they do it, too, it's not as if one of these things, it's, Steve is begrudgingly doing this. No, Steve is Steve. He's supporting her the whole way.
Absolutely. 100%. And he's her biggest fan.
Yeah.
So
and I completely agree with you at the point that I feel that putting more of these kind of messages out where you see the side by side proper equality there is a wonderful proper banner message for feminism, because like you say, if you have it where the man is weak or the woman is weak, it means that one person is only there to excel because the opposite was weak in some capacity. But if you see that person excelling when everyone else is just as equal as they are, you have this wonderful homage of things that, like you say, gives it to where, like, we're seeing characters who we know and love, and it doesn't take us too far off that path of the what if possibility, but it gives us that new taste of things, like Steve being the first Iron Man. What the fuck? You never would have saw that coming.
No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really good. I'm looking forward to the rest of the season. And because the MCU is becoming, instead of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's becoming the multiversal cinematic universe. Because obviously, coming up, we've got Spider-Man 3 is Spider-Man 3 is basically going to be into the Spider-Verse as far as I can tell. And of course, we've got Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness coming up. So obviously they're going multiverse. So they've already stated that all of these what ifs are canon, just in a different, different version of the multiverse, different dimension in the multiverse. So I'm really excited to see what they do with the rest of the series. If they were all as, and I think IGN, only gave it a 7, which I don't agree with. I actually thought it should have gotten a 9. Let's see what they say.
Yeah.
No,
because I can see what Disney's going to do with this. What they're going to do is they're going to take a lot of this what if stuff, and they're going to see what the fans pick up on the most, the stuff that they're going to run with the most, and then they're going to go, this is going to be the stuff we're going to make a show out of.
It's a great focus. Yeah, it's a great focus group. They can just throw a bunch of shit up against the wall, and they can do it season after season, and then they can get feedback of what people like the best, and then they can run with those ideas.
Yep.
So.
And if they get it wrong, they can just go, oops, our bad, let's change it, throw some weird, crazy monkey wrench in something, which is completely okay in the multiverse.
And if nobody liked it, don't worry about it. We're never going to that dimension again.
Ever again. Never have to see it.
That was our one peek. Look through the peephole. You'll never have to see him again.
No.
So.
What is it? Yeah. What is it, that meme that I saw? It's the Klingon from Deep Space Nine who's always like, for glory. and it's
Oh,
like a bathroom
it's
wall.
Gowron.
Yeah, it's Gowron. There's like
It's got the big eyes.
it's the big eyes, and there's like this glory hole in a bathroom. And you see
God.
Gowron's eyes, and he goes, "I seek glory."
I know Robert O'Reilly. That's terrible. Robert Riley. That's terrible. I've met him at a couple of cons. He and JG Hertzler do an entire act in full Klingon makeup as Gowron and Martok.
Oh God, those two are great.
They're hilarious.
Those two are great. Oh my God,
We
they're
saw
like
them
the Laurel and Hardy of Star Trek.
It's fantastic. They're nuts. I love them. So, but it's sad they wrote Gowron to be a conniving little twit that had to be killed by Worf. But oh well.
Mm.
So
well, that's what you do is whenever it gets to that point, every time someone says "patak," you take a drink. You will be so fucked by the time the second episode comes around.
yeah, that talk about seeing alternate universes. But speaking of which, if Alex Kurtzman ever watches this program, which I'm sure he won't, and I'm fine with that because Alex, your Star Trek sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking
It
bad,
really
dude.
does.
Sorry.
It
Yeah.
really does. I mean, like, let's first of all, I wasn't planning on talking about this tonight, but since we're here, Alex Kurtzman got a 5-year extension to run Star Trek for CBS. Why? I mean, Lower Decks had its amusing moments, but it wasn't great. Picard, I wanted to like it. I did, but there's a lot of shit in there that just doesn't make sense.
That's what I've heard, and that's what's kept me away from a lot of it.
The critical, if you want to see a really great breakdown of it, check out the Critical Drinkers review on it. He's on YouTube. You will love his style. He's hilarious. He's a Scot, and he has a very analytical way of breaking things down, and also a very sarcastic, dry, drunken Scotsman type way of eviscerating it when it goes awry. He also does a couple of series called Extra Shots and The Drinker Recommends, where he talks about movies where he really does like, and he's super positive. So he's not just, it's not all just doom and gloom. So shout out to the Critical Drinker because he's awesome. But specifically with Discovery, Roddenberry's vision of Star Trek was a hopeful vision for the future.
Yeah, I don't know what this gloom. I don't know what this gloom and doom shit is that it's going to.
It's filmed dark. It's the set designs are actually pretty cool. I'll give them that. The set designs are pretty cool, but the uniforms were just trash. Like, I'm sorry. I know people get on me. Starfleet, not a military. Well, it certainly has a military hierarchical structure. Okay. It uses naval ranks, so it's close enough for me. And they have weapons that create big booms. So,
and they have active protocols, and they essentially have LOAC. So,
well, and here's the thing: if you're an officer, if you're in a military, and you see someone of a higher rank, what do you have to do?
Salute.
That's right. Now, isn't it helpful to be able to identify whether or not a person is of higher rank than you? So that way you know when to salute.
Or get the fuck out of his way. Yeah.
Why is it so goddamn hard to see the rank on Discovery's uniforms? They're tiny little pinholes in the Delta shield. It's like, at least Next Generation, it was right here.
It was on the pip, yeah.
Yeah. And it was right there. You couldn't miss it. You were looking at their face. You could see what rank they were. Perfect. Yeah. All right.
And it was clear, even though it was small. The way it was subdued, there was no way you could not see it.
Right, and it was they were gold up against black, so you were going to see it. It popped, even though, and it was right in line with the person's face. So when you were looking at them, you'd see what rank they were. Well, perfect. Right. Granted, the military uniforms looked like they were pajamas, but hey, budgets. It is what it is. Even on TOS, bright sleep stripes. That's a naval tradition, and in our naval dress blues, you'd have sleeve stripes. Hell, even the Air Force on their dress blues has sleeve stripes for the officers. So this all makes sense to me as somebody who served in the Navy. That's like, okay, I get it. This is a naval rank structure. Like when I was watching, I grew up in a Navy family, so when I was watching The Next Generation, nobody had to tell me Wesley Crusher was an ensign. Nobody had to tell me that Worf was a lieutenant junior grade. Nobody had to tell me Riker was a commander. I could just look and know because I knew what the rank structures were. So, it was very obvious. So I hated that aspect of the uniforms, of those terrible design.
Well, I mean, even to me, I think, even before that, I thought the worst designed ones were the ones from like Enterprise, because they were just tacky blue jumpsuits that looked really shitty, like somebody got some discount shit from the Air Force Viper Squad. But it looks a hell of a lot better than this shit.
Well, not only that, but to be fair, that was actually somewhat realistic in a early space exploration for Starfleet.
Yeah.
Because you know what they also looked a hell of a lot like? Navy coveralls.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, or Air Force work coveralls, that was exactly the same. So
exactly.
I mean, and even then, with the color swatches and everything that they had in the dress and everything else like that,
and the dress, and then the admirals had to wear a tie.
Yep.
They were wearing, so it looked more like 21st, 22nd century than
century stuff. Yep.
Or 21st. We haven't gotten to the 22nd century. If I make it to the 22nd century, somebody shoot me. I've lived too long. I'd be 122 at that point.
You never know. Maybe we got super soldier space cadets going on, man.
Yeah. All I know is if we do actually have a proper space force one of these days, I want to be a space shuttle door gunner.
Yes, baby.
Minigun in space. Anyway, moving on. So with Discovery, though, going back, it's the whole doom and gloom thing. And then in the second season, it got a little bit better. There was, because Pike and the crew of the Enterprise injected a little of that brightness, a little of that color with the Enterprise uniforms. Of course, then they immediately put them into the Discovery uniforms, which was terrible. Which is why the only thing I'm looking forward to is Strange New Worlds, because it's going back to that episodic formula. It's going back to the bright uniforms. And Pike himself, played by Anson Mount, who's a fabulous actor. And if you haven't watched Hell on Wheels, I know you have, I think you have, but for those of our for those of our ones, if you haven't watched it and you liked Captain Pike, go watch Hell on Wheels. Anyway, Anson Mount brought a lot of that brightness of character and hopefulness and charm and things that we were missing. And then they promptly took him away for season 3. So, and we got back to Space Jesus, who apparently everything in the Federation that's good is because of Mikey Spock. So, and it's just, and in the third season, I tried to watch it. I did. I got 5 episodes in, and I got tired of them crying every episode. Huh? Oh, I froze, you froze. Oh, good. We had a freeze. Oh, goody. Well, I'm going to have to learn editing. Are you still there? Are you there? Are you moving?
I'm there.
My internet connection. Apparently, my internet connection is unstable, which is just unsatisfactory because I pay way too much money for it to be unstable. So I'm going to have to learn editing, boys and girls. So,
you got froze with this wonderful O face. You were like,
definitely going to have to edit that out. So as I was saying, Mount brought this. Oh, and you froze again. Shit. Oh, I can hear you. I can hear you. Just you're frozen with this grin on my screen. So, folks, welcome to the wonderful world of radio. And I have broken Scott.
It happened again, exactly the same way. So you were like, anyway.
Oh, good. So this time it looked like I was going to hurl. You know what?
Happy
Screw it.
Hurl.
I'm leaving it all in there. I'm not going to edit that out at all. Why not? People can make fun of me for it. The hell with it. Not like I haven't given them plenty of ammunition over the years. So yeah. Oh,
It freezes again when he's got this wonderful caddy, the canary look.
as soon as we go to start up, it freezes. I think we might have to end the show there, man. I think Skynet is giving us a clue. So, folks, for the squad leader, Kendall Scott Cooper, I am the Brewing Sailor, Brendan Smith. And sadly, we couldn't get to our final topic, which was the Bad Batch. But hey, yay, it got renewed for season 2. And I look forward to seeing the season finale tomorrow. And with that, I'm going to stop recording before Skynet screws up my video again. Bye-bye, y'all.
Bye, guys.